Everyone disses room design. Ever since room design stopped being part of Isaac as the initial launch of After Earth Plus, people never even considered making rooms for their new mods and enemies and floors. And the room editor kinda went unused and ridiculed. Rooms are everything the player sees. It's how your enemy gets its own challenge and name to it. Back when we all started, it was simple to distinguish between what to do when you see a wall creep and what to do when we see a blind creep. Because each one of those enemies has their own rooms to them to let you play well with what they do, the thing is just annoying and ruins designs for every room that ever has any wall spider. So what is this video? We're going to take an enemy to show you how to design rooms that can all be your first room with said enemy in a randomly generated game. And let's start with another thing that this video can do. Explain how to use the room editor. The room editor is a clunky joke by Nicholas that holds just enough Easter eggs to support the missing content from it. I think the best thing they can do is add controller support, like something like BattleBlock Theater or so. But whatever the case, start by looking up a video on how to fix the bug you already commented me about. After your room editor launched, pick a room. Start by filling your top empty row with things you're going to be using a lot, such as TNT, cobwebs, poop, rocks, spikes, pits, and any other block. Basically just everything you're going to use a lot in rooms. Also remember, decoration 3, 2, and 1 are just random tiles, and sometimes mess up during imports and exports. There are also all these other tabs you could use, but for some reason the room editor doesn't keep your choices when you reopen it, so kinda scratch that idea. Because this makes no sense, every new room you'll need to pick the first tile you want, and then use either an entity from your palette or the full entity table, and then it will appear on the grid. Dragging mouse 2 can duplicate or just place whatever is in your current selected position into where your mouse hovers on. Using this drag function when you have a blank circle selected acts as an eraser. Use the quick test button or the insta preview TM. To quickly load the game right into your room, you'll need to have a Steam window open to get the pop-up. Exiting the run will cause your quick test to exit, but using the R key gets you back to your room. And now that we got controls done, let's go for the holy do hacking nuts of rooms. Golden poop, rainbow poop, and everything of that kind shouldn't appear more than once a room, and should also be very rare. Only place these behind good trades or good locks. Never put entities in front of the door, whether it's flies, lies, bats, cobwebs, or poops. Everything is a problem. You click the doors themselves to open or close them, basically enabling the engine to link rooms through that exit. Test your room and reset multiple times to make sure all doors available make sense. If you can beat your own room without taking damage, that room is poorly designed and should be added into the game. Make changes and keep testing. If the room is a major challenge, like a boss or a mini-boss, I recommend trying to get a victory, one with a Polyphemus run, and one with soy milk and some damage up. Each one without getting hit, just to ensure players are safe on very dire circumstances. And don't make troll rooms, you are not funny. No, nobody thinks you are funny. Alright, welcome to an actual better live section than what you just seen. All the audio was recorded live on this screen, but nothing was really happening. Alright, so, you're seeing a lot of stuff here. Whoa, some of these are spoilers for my own mods, but let's take just any enemy. This is a bit more live, a bit less edited, because I don't really have time. It's my mom's birthday and everything, whatever. Anyway, let's take a new enemy, and an enemy that's really normal, but you don't see that much. Let's take a roundy. Take a roundy of plows, and look at this. Okay, so, also don't ask what the hell is alien ship. Just a joke I had. Alright, so, because the balance in Isaac is not really allowing you to make a tutorial, really, or even a fake tutorial, like in Like, this is your first room in the game. You spawn here, and you just kind of spawn here, and there's the enemy. Like, it doesn't let you experiment like that. Every single room you have needs to have the same amount of challenge as any other room. Well, except that, like, you can make a bigger challenge or a more threatening room. Uh, Obviously bigger challenge, but you can kind of prepare for it, seeing that the room is bigger. Whoa, quality change. Alright, ignore that. I had the wrong zoom in. So, what do you need to really do in order to design this enemy to, first of all, not create an environment in which it can guaranteedly hit the player? Because, well, there's always the chance, but you can limit that, but by not making something like this, because if you make this, there's most of the rooms the round it can hit are gonna be this slow, so you can always design it around this idea of making it little tiny holes in which it's actually itself is going to hide, and make it look like a cell. Basically, like, we're okay. If you don't know a roundy, it's just an ipecac shot, and then when it bursts out, it's kind of like a cod, not a cod worm, just a worm, one of those that shoot one tear at you. Falls out of the ground, shoots a tear, no, with a tiny 2-block explosion, like a rock wave in a circle, and then shoots an ipecac. So what we do here, we give it a little room, like always to spawn in, and we add 2 of these just to ensure them, and we add a little more space for the player to basically live in. I always try to make these sections where the player doesn't have too much entrance, such as these, a bit more wide, so the area of basically tightness is equal, because here you have 4 blocks, and like here you have 4 blocks. You can totally do this as a room. And here you just kind of free to mess around. Most rooms should be, I don't know the word, symmetric, that's the word. Most rooms are supposed to be symmetric, but obviously you can have these kinds of rooms. You do add a little bit more spirit into a room if you kind of design it like this, where not everything is perfectly equal. But you know, that can have its own design issues, like, wait, where is this symmetrical? And people are gonna like, what, where's the creator just not concentrated? So I recommend for your first batch of rooms, just do this stuff. So you can make, first of all, remember the design. The things aren't square in nature, okay? We're gonna call this nature, obviously. Oh, goodbye, Mega Satan's left hand. So you can give it a little bit more room, but what happens when you try to make a room that's narrow with such a dangerous enemy that, if we actually think about it, can cover probably some of the most ground in Isaac? One of the tricks is, and this is room editor tricks that you should totally remember, all the worms that go underground and peek up eventually can't spawn on top of cobwebs. Yes, he's gonna start spawning on the cobwebs once he destroys them, but until that point, you can probably already kill it, because it has just as much HP as any normal codworm. So actually, this looks very dangerous once you see the worm hiding in here. Also, make sure you lock that door. Where was it? There it is. Make sure you lock that door, and now you see this. This is very threatening, but what happens when we insta-preview? It's only spawning up there, and it doesn't even see me, so it can barely shoot even the ipecac. And now you're gonna start seeing it pop up everywhere once it has more sightline. Just like I said, all these rooms can give you some sort of stress moment of like, oh no, I've seen this enemy, and oh no, who is this enemy? Every run can be your first, and I solemnly remember the time I started a new save file. Well, it wasn't my first playthrough, but it was very scary. The time I started a brand new save file, just happy to enter a new game, And what greeted me was this room that was featured on Isaac subreddit for being a big old piece of shit. So yeah, you can all need to remember that every room can be your first encounter with one of your new enemies, and then you can start stepping it up, with big rooms. And whoops, screen change thing. Wow. Alright. Big room. Hello. This is weird. This crazy kooky stuff. So, on this room, it can remember you need to retain the first encounter aspect, because yes, this is a big room, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the player will always find another one of these enemies. That specifically, this one is very rare to spawn everywhere. So, what you do is you retain a rock area, like you gotta rock your world like I don't know the words. Anyway, rock your world, baby. Trying to remember it. Anyway, you need to retain playgrounds for it, and also the thing with using cobwebs as the tiny little things for it is, no, this is a bad idea. Okay, you keep this here, but you can also add pits sometimes, just kind of mess around with the look of stuff. This is basically equivalent, these two, but actually I'll just kind of lock this area. I don't want it. I don't want it in my house. I don't want it in my mouse. There you go. Alright. So now you have this new enemy, and way in the center of the room, you see this. This is a TNT barrel. Whatever, it doesn't matter if it's your first encounter with it or not. You open up the room, and what you see is a circled enemy that looks very threatening, and it just starts popping up everywhere after that point, because it teleports around, kind of like the pinworms you probably saw already. And there's two of it. So what do you really do after you encounter a brand new enemy? You watch it for a second, you run around, and then what you see is this. It shoots an impact here, and you see the explosion. Like, you're not stupid, probably. Also, design rooms to feed stupid people is also a good mentality, because Lord knows that is not something we are missing. That was a stupid line, I don't know, I said it. So now you have these two here, and it gives also the kind of satisfaction you always get when you find rooms kind of like this. Kind of like this room, like you shoot the bomb dip, don't ask, it's for a mod. And then you get that giant explosion that, yes, you can only access if you have flight, but you have all these rewards that are starting to pop up like crazy. And you are so happy for the simple thing. You just shot a dip twice, but it's not a lot. And yeah, I think that might have been enough, or that might have been too few. I'm making this in a very tight schedule. I was just saying all this live, and there's noise in the background. I'm very sorry. But yeah, I'm gonna have to drop this here. This could have been much better. Always here's some other tips. Always remember the player, like, never place anything too close to a door, because like even if you see a fly here, that's gonna be a problem. If it's just a normal ass fly, it's still gonna be problematic. Like, always keep, like, let me just new how okay, always keep this section of the entrances, well, of this, you gotta keep it like kind of like this. Everything in this section should be clean completely, and it's a bit more fragile in these rows, because, well, basically you shouldn't really place enemies on this unless you are aware they're slow. Like, I won't place a bony here Well, mostly because okay, this is made before the. I have used Sentinels if you're modding Floor API. I have used it, and it causes enemies to start activating and using attacks a bit early. So if you're gonna use, if the mod you're working with has all these enabled, I would certainly recommend not putting stuff like bonies, like here. Maybe the main game does it and it works better, but the Sentinel's Room API doesn't allow it because it's just gonna start shooting at you. So like this is a good distance because by now you've seen it. And like, but like I can put a skinny here. Like it's not too bad. Don't ask why this one's frozen. There's just a lot of stuff. But yeah, this is basically it. Thank you all a lot for watching. I am probably just gonna drop this video off here. That's just kinda gonna be it for the video. Thank you all a lot for watching. Click right now over nothing. Yeah, nothing to subscribe or watch some other videos, some more modding stuff, some more game design stuff. Whoa, I did a screen just darken. Anyway, yeah, thank you all a lot for watching. I was Boogie Bunny. Bye bye.